It's that time. The Brightside Chronicles is about to go down with Kerry and Nana. You ready for the show to begin?
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. It's almost showtime. Let's go. Let's get it. It's almost go time. Let's freaking go.
What's up? The chicken dinner because your girl did it. I made it happen,
was
so I'm
working.
just saying. Anyway,
I
for
wasn't sure if I was
anybody
supposed to
who
dance during that or
oh, listen, we
I be
dance all
getting,
the time, but
I
that's
be
because
getting
we're
hyped up.
special.
Like that's like a cool ass intro though, because it's like you got Carrie with the little subtle, and then I just hit you with a little. It's go time. Let's get it. Let's go.
yeah.
I know, and Nana did it. We did that all through voice recording over messaging. So, Nana, you already got people hitting you up on your Instagram feed. So,
Okay.
shout out to you guys. For
Gang,
anybody who
gang.
does not know, welcome to the 5th episode of the
The
Brightside
Brightside
Chronicles.
Chronicles.
Your host, Kerry Lewis,
That one.
alongside of Rangoku Goku. Also,
Yeah, you gotta call him
guys,
Rengoku. It's Rengoku. Get that straight. Get that straight.
Rengoku. Also known as Nana Ajman. And we have the distinct privilege and pleasure today to have the one and only. Go ahead.
Nana
I call
Asefo,
you
aka
Nase.
my
So
older
They finally
brother.
got me. They got me. They finally got me.
we finally got you. I'm so excited. Well, he thinks we finally did, but really, I'm going to have him on my What's Your Story show too, but that's another time. So,
I'm enjoying it.
for anybody out there who's wondering what the Brightside Chronicles is, Nana and I really are tired of hearing all the news that suggests that we live in a world of fear, especially when there's so many beautiful, joyful moments unfolding in every single minute of the day. And so we're really here to highlight how joy infuses individuals, not only moment to moment, but how that translates into their everyday life. And I can't think of a more joyful person than my amazing brother-in-law Nase, who is always filled with sunshine. Thanks
Yo.
for being here.
I mean, before we get into that introductory, I just want to say, like, I'm excited I got my older brother on a podcast. Never in a million years would I have thought that would happen, but that was cool. Like, it just was like, I was excited all day today. I was at work, whatever it is, but I was like, nah, like 7 o'clock needs to be here. So, like, I've been really looking forward to this one. So, thank you for making time, big bro.
I'm also super excited to be here. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a long time, and we finally got us all on the platform. So I'm just excited to be here, just ready to just enjoy the time with you guys.
Thank you.
So my question is, how have you always cultivated a joyful disposition, Nase? Because every time I see you, you're always so happy and jovial.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like I feel like I was just a happy child. I've always been a happy child, and I think and not just two, not just two. So I'm gonna like divulge a little family information, but not
Go ahead. This is uncut. Speak it true, bro. You're good.
Not used to be called Mr. Bean. He was like the funnier one. He still is the funnier one.
Low key.
Yeah, he still is the funny.
I mean,
the funnier, like more jovial one. I'm kind of like in the background, but like just taking it all in. So yeah, and I think a lot of that when I reflect back and look back on like when we were growing up, like our dad is always he's like everybody knows him, everybody like loves him. My mom is the quiet one, but she's also I think we just kind of came up in that space of just being happy kids and living life and enjoying it. So yeah.
I'm gonna play technical person here, trying to put up people's
questions and things. Oh shit!
Yeah, so please make sure that you guys are engaged, and we're happy to talk to you. But okay, so Nana was always a funny one, but I don't know. I mean, yes, Nana. I think Nana is overt in his costume.
I think he is,
loud hair, wild glasses. But you exude a warm, welcoming energy, and I would say, I mean, I can say from having been part of the family for almost 5 years now, that you were like the most warm and opening in the beginning. I just felt like, oh, he's like a
Yeah.
good vibe.
You know what? I always kind of put me and Nash together because we're only 2 years apart, and he's my best friend. I mean
I
that
appreciate
like
you, bro.
every
Same.
when I was a kid, he's the only one I've known, and
And
but I
beat me
always
up
say like I
too.
think
And would beat me up and then be like, shh, don't tell the parents. And I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna tell, I'm gonna go snitch.
oh man, but it's
Remember,
funny because I think when I look back on like my happiest moments as a kid, it was always like we lived in a nice neighborhood. We like did
we were rich. No,
quite
don't
a lot.
bullshit. We were rich. Yeah, you got to tell
We
them the
were,
details.
we
We live in
were
a
we were
mansion. No
outside.
bullshit.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We were privileged kids. We were
Yeah.
outside a lot. Like we got to really play outside. And I think one of the big pieces was we were exposed to things. Like, we got to live in London. Like Naj lived in London
Mhm.
longer than I did, and
Yeah.
I was there for 2 years. Just there for I think 5 years or so. And so we got a taste of different people. And that I think really kind of like helped us to be adaptable. So like when we came to the
Mm.
US, I always say I was just a kid that I just was kind of like always just taking it in and just kind of like really just trying to meet people and be nice to people, and that was kind of like the vibe. I never really I guess that was just kind of like, yeah, that was really it. Just us like kind of really knowing other people, getting around, and always being in an atmosphere where you had to learn about somebody. You had to, or
Mhm.
somebody had to learn about you. And so it was always easier for me to be like, hey, my name is Nana, I'm from Ghana, right? And that would break the ice. And then it's all like everybody loves that. Nana from Ghana. And then it's like, you know,
I literally used that today because a customer came up to me and was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "It's Nana." They said Nana. I'm like, "No, it's really pronounced Nana."
yeah.
Nana from Ghana. They're like, "Oh, that's easy." I'm like, "Yeah, no doubt. Like that's what it's supposed
Yep.
to be." Like,
Yeah, so that always broke the ice with people, and that made me kind of be the guy that was just like the funny guy that was,
yeah.
hey, I don't know if high school I was a class clown. I wasn't really a class clown, but I did love sports. I played soccer. I tried out for basketball, didn't get in. Um, I did soccer, and that got me to introduce to other people in Worcester and
Yeah.
stuff. So I was always kind of like that got me involved in like activities, and um, I think high school I got like an award or something like. So it was always that kind of like just being involved in activities and
Yeah.
being able to mesh with different crowds and stuff like that. So
So would you say that, moving and, because Nana and I have talked about the fact that you guys went from privilege to really living in a very small environment on top of each other,
Oh
right?
man.
Like, and going from privilege to, I wouldn't say lack, but like where you faced more adversity. Would you say
yeah,
that having the community of your siblings and family around helped you stay positive through that time of like really what some would see as upset or like change?
yeah,
It's a huge
Mhm.
change.
yeah. No, I reflect on that a lot, and I think that transition from like going to school in Ghana in the Benz and like going to the best school in Ghana, then moving to America, and then having
Holy.
to go to live in the hood and that. I think we had family. You're absolutely right. Having like was my mom and my aunt that really raised us, and we lived with our cousins. So we were in a house with all these different um, um,
Background dynamics.
personalities,
Yep.
personalities.
Yep.
Not just the funny guy. I'm like trying to keep them together.
You're the
Yeah,
glue.
God help you.
What was the glue? Like that scene where Spider-Man's like holding the train up and like
yeah,
that was you. You're the glue.
yeah. It was like I was the oldest, so I had to recognize I needed to keep the younger ones in line. While I was told to
Yeah.
keep the younger ones in line, and so. But the great thing was that we were our own friends. Like even till today, if all of us, like I'll say 7 or 8 of us, get in a room, like we're still friends. We're all friends, and that was definitely our happy place. And even though we were living in the circumstances we're in, we didn't really know or think of it that way. We were happy kids. We're just
Correct.
like,
Right.
we're living here. We got our cousins. Like other people can go home, but our cousins stay here. We all live in the same place, and so I felt like that really helped cultivate a lot of that. 100%.
And
Yeah.
I think going back to your point, bro, was this is cool. I can actually get called bro on the here, like just it being like bro. But you know what I mean? Like so like I think going back to your point, what you were saying was like us growing up in a well-off affluent community with having 2 cars, 8 bedrooms, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even a coconut tree in our driveway. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I
You
remember
don't
that.
eat coconut now,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you.
you had pawpaw trees.
Yep. So
Yeah.
having all these things kind of like showed us the life of like what it could be when you're in an affluent community. Then you get thrown into New York first, where we landed, and then we stayed there for like I think like a couple days, and then came to on the Greyhound bus, and we stopped by our mom's friend picked it up. Randy's dad. Do you remember Randy?
Yeah, Randy's dad. Yep.
Picked us up from the downtown area, brought us to Lincoln Village, and now we're thrown into a whole situation of like there's 8 people in a 2-bedroom house. Like
right. Yeah.
we went from 8 bedrooms to 8 people. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. So Nad and I always shared a room, but there was so many rooms, right? Like we always shared a room because we were brothers. Yeah. But my sister had her own room. Mom and dad had their own rooms, and like we were, like I said, we went to one of the best schools in Kumasi at the time, and you go to school, walk to school or go to school to Benz, and then definitely coming here, and then it's like now we've got to figure it out. I still remember the first time snow hit me. Like that was one of the reasons why I can't live in Worcester anymore. Like
I got scared. He was like, "Oh shoot, what is that? What is that?"
I remember the first time having the big jacket, that overall jacket.
Oh my god, puffy ass jacket.
So, yeah, that
with them baggy ass joggers. Like
it was crazy. It was crazy. I remember. Yeah. Yep.
Nah.
But not just right. It was the fact that we had each other, 8 of us, all in the house, like just being our friends and doing with what we had. I definitely always give credit to like my mom and her sisters, because it's like they really all like they made us not feel like what we were, right? Right. Like when you're in a circumstance that you don't know until you're actually leaving, like, oh, this is what we're actually in. That was what it was like, and they really did a great job of like just shielding us from all the negative stuff that was out there.
Kudos to that.
So
because I mean they got us into like after school programs and like we started Magnet to like the pool center. Shout out to Dennis.
Yep, Auntie would take us to the library all the time. Like we had to go to the library on Saturdays.
Oh my gosh, bro! I'm like, yo, what are we doing there? We keep watching animation.
She would drop us off like, you guys stay in the library every Saturdays.
Oh my god!
We always had something to do, so it kept us out of like trouble and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Well, something that I share with Nana often is I love the camaraderie between the siblings, and like even so the toy Nana has behind him, right? Even though all 4 of you are very different in many ways, you all support each other's joys. Like, all of you rally around Edwin, around his music. All of you guys are supportive of Michelle chasing her dream in school, and me and Nana are happy to get her Lego sets because we know that's what makes her happy. And then you said, Nana, random, I don't even know.
Shit about anime, but he knows.
I be knowing.
Yeah.
But I love how you guys. You guys support each other's like what fosters joy in each other, even though it's so completely different than maybe what fosters joy in yourself. And I think that's really important, because I think that ties into each of you guys' abilities to strive for greater heights, right? Like Nana knows that if he chases a big dream and he falls down, that he has his siblings to support him. Right. I know Edwin, I can say I'm always telling him to chase his music. And I think it's because of that close-knit community that you guys have cultivated.
100%. And so it's so funny that we're having this conversation. I was talking to my auntie Nana baby Najma. And Auntie Nana, she was like, she's I think the 5th or 6th one out of my grandmother's 12 children. So just to let me give you all some historical context. So Ashtown is the hood that our parents grew up in. Like, so my mom and sisters grew up in Ashtown. Now there were 12 of them living in a one-bedroom house. A one bed, yeah. So yeah, so that they had like it's a high rise, a lot of families in, but back in Ghana in the 70s and 80s, that's how it was. And their father passed away when they were, I think he was around 50, so they were relatively young. And so it was just their mom raising these 12 kids. And that I think that's where like when like we always have known that, right? So when Auntie Nana came abroad, she then brought the sisters, and then that's they help each other. So I think that was kind of like what's always transcended into us as a kids. Like we saw it. Like when we first came to American Lodge, if you remember, Auntie Nana picked us up. My mom wasn't even here when Naj and I first came. It was just me and him, and then we stayed with Auntie Eno.
Yeah.
And then Auntie Nana, Auntie Eno, they all would like, these are aunties treating us like their kids. Like we didn't even, the mom and auntie looked just alike. So it was just like, we just kind of like,
I know, literally, Harry's mom literally looked like my mom.
They look like twins. And so with them, like Auntie Nana would take us shopping until my mom came later on, a year later. And then like she was there with us and all of that. But we never felt like we didn't have a mom or like a dad or, like it was just always like whenever your mom is not there, someone is there to yell at you. Someone is there to stir you up, right? Someone is there to give you the business. So it was one of those things where it's like just that foundation really kind of like instilled in us. And so when I was growing up, all I would hear is make sure you're taking care of them. Make sure this person is doing that. So I ended up becoming the disciplinary. I ended up becoming like the one that would keep them in check. But at the same time, I was never like we never judged each other. Everybody had different passions and all of that. And so part of it was just like, take care of your siblings and just make sure they're good. And part of that was me knowing that I'm not gonna change somebody. If my brother loves anime, okay, whatever. He loves anime. Like he's still my brother. That's what it is. Yeah. So I think it was that foundation kind of like really kind of set through. And I see that. I think, the difference between growing up overseas in Ghana versus America. America is very different, where America is very like families don't live that close. Sometimes you may have a family on the West Coast but in Worcester during the time that we grew up in Worcester, you had Puerto Rican families, you had in the valley, you had people, everything was just family. Everybody was like very close. To this day, Gideon and I, one of my friends, were still friends. And we literally met each other in Worcester, so Worcester was just that community where it was like everybody knew each other, everybody, grew up around each other, and we were all just treated each other as like family. So that I think that's what like all of that, along with just our upbringing, really kind of helped build that foundation for us.
Damn.
I love that. And that's how I found family. Is I found family on the streets of Worcester, right? Like I grew up in a very disjointed home, and it was all different ethnicities of people just wrapping me up in love, that taught me that love wasn't conditioned and that it didn't have to be based on, expectation and stuff. So I totally get that. I'm curious. So Nana attributes his success in college to you holding him accountable when he wasn't,
we're gonna talk about that.
Handling his business, so to speak. How have you used your experiences in community to chase after your own dreams?
Hold that thought, big bro. Gather your thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna explain the background of that college situation. By the way. All right, so this is what happened, right? So I go to school at UMass. Actually, I was at Quincy, went to Worcester Arts Magnet, Norback, Doherty, yada, yada, yada. I took Quincy for a year and a half, didn't know what I wanted to do. Then I applied at UMass Lowell because my older brother had gone there and he's going there. So I applied there, got in, and I get there my first semester thinking it's going to be, piece of cake. Wrong. And your boy almost flunked out of college. And I remember my older brother literally sitting me down, was like, hey, look, like, you're out of the city. you're in college now, like you got to figure things out. And I remember having that conversation. It stuck with me because it almost like just spurred me to wanting to do better for myself and figuring out what made sense to me. And I think that kind of created that like sense of drive that I have with anything, whether it's, anime stuff, cosplay stuff, or work oriented stuff. That within itself stuck to me because it's just like, bro, I'm out of the city. Like, I can't just squander this opportunity and just be like, oh, like, I just got out of Worcester to just flunk out of college and not do, make something of myself. And that within itself really like, it really helped me a lot to kind of figure out what I want to do. I mean, I still have moments of like, what I want to do in life. But like for now, that's definitely spurred me a lot in the decisions I've made in life, basically, whether it's like, buying a house or whatever it is, certain things. I always think it over and I'm like, damn, I remember there was a time frame that I wasn't at that level of mindset to make these informed decisions too. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that feels, yeah.
My fault. I wasn't trying to shed tears and shit.
No, you're absolutely.
Damn, getting me in my feels.
No, I mean, yeah, it's like for me, right? So for me, like, you're first off, I don't like saying you're welcome, but like, you know what I mean, Naj. Like, for me, it's more about it's okay. So I think when I look back and I reflect on this a lot in terms of just like Kerry, the question you asked is how does all of that kind of help me propel my success, right? I kind of like, I think one piece I look back on and I'm thankful for is my dad, right? I look at my dad, I look at how he brought us up. When we were in Ghana, when you're growing up in Ghana's a place where at that time it was a place where not many people traveled abroad. And I think my dad took me a lot more places than he took Naj. So Naj lived separately in London more with my mom than I did. I stayed in Ghana, kind of was more with my dad. So I got to see him like in action in terms of like how he went from like, his business or how he dealt with business or how he dealt with people. Mm-hmm. I got to see a lot of that growing up. And so I think that foundation, along with leaving Ghana, knowing like at an older age, I was around like 10, 11 when we came.
Yeah.
Knowing what people that live in Ghana experience and then coming here and getting that different shift, right? So living in Ghana, we live in, lads, you remember Lights Off, right? When the lights go off.
Carrie, do you know what Lights Off is, by the way?
Well,
it's just
I think
a power outage.
Me, but the lights are power outage,
right? Here, power outages are like once a year. In Ghana, it's like
every freaking couple hours if you're lucky.
You have no like, you have like just even like food or how food is prepared or when you're eating, all the flies that come on your food, or like, like even though we grew up in the good parts, I got to go. I also got to live with my my grandmother and them like when I was younger. Naj was much younger, so he doesn't remember those things, but I remember a lot. Like I remember when I was 3 years old, probably riding like a bike in our town, and like it was, it's bad, right? And so those memories and those things there, and then being able to come here and see that, okay, well, if I don't do well, like that could easily be, right?
No.
And one of the things I think a lot of like parents, so my dad and I, when I got here, my dad would call us a lot, or he would come and go, but it was always like disciplinary, like, hey, if you don't do well, like you're going back over there. Or if my aunt would say the same thing, like you're here and other people could benefit from the same privilege that you have coming here.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can go back there and see. And so I think for me, it was always like, I've always had that mindset of like, well, I come from a place where like, if I stay there, I might not be able to be my jollof rice.
Listen, I just have to
that
tell
made me
you,
laugh because this man loves his jollof. So let's be honest.
Oh yeah, man.
No,
jollof escapades, baby.
I have to get in there. So no diss. The best jollof rice I've ever had is Michelle.
Really?
And then your mom came and made
haven't tried
jollof rice, and I'm like, well, he hasn't had, but no, but do you remember your mom came back from Ghana like the first year and I tried it and I'm like, what is this?
When you come visit, y'all's gonna make you her jollof and you'll be like, oh, okay.
No, but
yeah.
Nasse's jollof is smack, bro.
I haven't made jollof since in a while, since I got married, really.
Nah, but your thing was on point.
Listen, but you don't understand, Nase. I've been slowly trying to learn how to cook some Ghanaian foods for Nana, and we tried jollof rice, and my kids were so disgusted. It was so bad.
That was Basura.
It was so bad. I was like,
when you come here,
that and whatever I can't pronounce, Nana fired me from trying to cook.
But
when you come here, y'all can show you how it's done. Y'all makes really good jollof rice, and Edward can attest to that. But y'all loves cooking. So when you come here, she can take you through the whole jollof rice cooking.
I'm with it.
Come on,
but I think.
But anyway, okay. So go back
to circle back. To circle.
Look at some brothers out here.
Oh, what up, Armani?
Oh my gosh, Armani.
So do you guys want to hear? I gotta tell you, speaking of joy, the very first time I met Armani, all right, I'm helping my sister out, and he introduces himself as Armani and Nana's cousin. Right. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So then later on, Nana goes to me, that's my brother, and his name's Edwin. I don't know what he's
He told me to name Armani.
Bro was a menace for that.
I said, well, his name is Armani for the rest of the time.
For that was crazy.
He's got to name all his kids Armani. I think he's got to name them all. Armani 1, Armani 2, Armani 3.
Right.
Oh my God, I love it.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that like just the piece of like knowing what is possible, being a little bit older and a little bit kind of aware, was super helpful. I think that was super helpful. And for me, again, is that family instinct. Like I've been brought up always knowing that, hey, like we're a family. Like you take care of each other. You take care of your like. I remember Auntie Endo, every time we go out, like we go to the basketball court, take care of them, and they call me family man. I would like come with my little
Peter Griffin.
Edwin would be in a stroller. He would pull up. I'll pull up to the court with Edwin in a stroller, and so it was always that like the family sticks together. And so for me, it's like if I'm up here and my brother's not succeeding, like I got to get him up. We got to get up together. Right. And so part of that, like me having that conversation with him was like, dude, like, we come from a family where like the education is like important.
Yeah.
Our dad took us to the good schools because he wanted us to get somewhere in life. You gotta like, and that was part of it. It's not just about me, it's about like we represent our family, we represent the family. And so your success is my success is your success. That to this day still like instills in me. Like I obviously I have a lot of goals, and part of those goals is making sure that I bring them along with me, or they come along with me. Yeah.
So what do you do that brings you joy? I know you MC, right?
Yeah. So
I come out here to this. My house is a hotel to this man, by the way. Just letting y'all know.
You said this what?
I said my house is a hotel to you. You just pull up here and be like, hey, bro, I got a show. I'm like, all right, I guess you can pull up. Like, I won't see you, but like, what I mean, no.
Yeah. So I MC, and somebody recently asked me where did that come from, and it was it was college. So when I went to college, now do you remember New? Do you remember New?
Yes, New. Yep.
Oh, New made me. Yeah. Yep. New sneakerhead. He made me join student activities club. And it was like, oh, dude, you're so. Yeah, he was the first one. I was like, oh, you could talk to people, and I was like, dude, huh? What? Like, he's like, yeah, just come join the club. Like, you're gonna be. So I was asleep in my room, and woke me up, and then made me join ASAO, and then which was the African Students Association, and so through that I was ASAO. I was like the PR chair, public relations chair. And then the following year, I was, I think, vice president. And then me and Jima were he was president, I was vice president. And then I became president. And when I was president, we wanted to do, we didn't have any budget to do a fashion show because normally we would have a fashion show and it costs a lot of money to do it.
Yep.
So administration was like, you got to figure something different. So the idea I had was, oh, well, we should do like a culture show. And then when we were going to do that, we didn't have money to get a host. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to be.
Yo, I did not know this, by the way.
So it was me, Ahmad, Mark, Valerie.
Ahmad and Mark, bro.
Yeah, they were all timid. They were like, they didn't want to do it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just do it. So that was the first instance of me like actually being and hosting a show. And when I did it, I was nervous as hell. But it was good. I enjoyed it. And I just enjoyed, like, funny enough, it made me remind, like, Naj, when I saw you, Naj was called Mr. Bean. Naj used to be, when we were kids, he would make everybody laugh. He would be like
crazy, the
jokester and all that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just make everybody laugh on stage. I'm gonna say, crazy things. I'm gonna make fun of people and all of that. And it stuck. And so when that happened, when I did that, people saw me. Then the next thing I was like, oh, you want to do the next one? And then it became. Then a lot of my friends started getting married, and they were like, "Oh, do you want to be the MC?" And that's kind of like where it picked up. Yeah, so that gives me joy. I think definitely being on stage, being on stage and being kind of like outside of just my regular day, it brings me joy to do that. And it's for me, it's about, I think it kind of like. It makes me happy to do it, right? Like it makes me happy to make people happy.
It's not a job; it's just something that you enjoy.
Yeah. Like so funny enough, this whole MC thing, I've kind of like slowed down with it, right? Now, do you remember? Last month I went to Walmart. We had our sales kickoff in Austin, and after the sales kickoff, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go on a boat." And so on the boat, we were on the boat, and there was a DJ, and so up north. People usually have an MC and a DJ, but it looks like down south they don't really have MCs. They just have a DJ. And so the DJ was really like, he was struggling, and I was like, you know what? I want to have fun here. So I grabbed the mic.
Bro, put on a super cape and just.
I grabbed the mic and we went to town. And so like 3 hours later, everybody was having a good time. Our VP was having a good time. The directors, everyone was having a good time. And for me, it was just like, I just wanted to have a good time. But that's what was the main. Yeah. So it was more like about me rather than them. Right. But that's like kind of like how I do that. I also love sports, and I have my DJ set over there. So sometimes I'll get on that DJ. But yeah, just music and just having a good time, really. I think that's what brings me joy. Just being in that space of like, not worrying about the daily day, and just being in a different space to like just enjoy music, enjoy people. That excites me. Yeah.
But you know what? Something that you and Nana have in common, and I know I can say it for myself as well, is it's opportunity. Like you took advantage of opportunities. And I think so often people miss out on joy because they play smaller. They're too timid to try something new, right? When you were in a college dorm, somebody woke you up and said, hey, you're going to come join this association, which you could have easily been like, nah, I'm tapping out. And then you could have easily said, nope, we're not going to have anybody MC this event. But you said yes. And I think that's a thing that not only helps us really cultivate joy, but it also cultivates confidence and resilience within ourselves to do more things, to try more things, which then leads, in my opinion, in a more joy.
100%. 100%. It's that exuberance of confidence, right? And I think that's for us when we were growing up, because he could be Mr. Bean and I wouldn't judge him, or he could be Mr. Bean and we had 5-6 people sitting around looking and enjoying him doing Mr. Bean, or Kojo would go play basketball now, right? Like we would go watch my cousin play basketball, and he was gonna be the Tracy McGrady of basketball, right? We'd go watch that, or so Mama Sawa and her art, and like we just I think we build that confidence as kids of just like knowing that and I now I mean when you're saying while you're saying I'm thinking like Worcester is really I think Worcester the community of Worcester kind of allowed that, right? Like
hub.
yeah, right. And Carrie, you grew up in Worcester too, so I'm curious on what your experience was on the other side. But like in Lincoln Village, like we enjoyed like being on the court and just like doing whatever. If you sucked at basketball, you still came to play
Oh
basketball.
my gosh, yo!
Right? Like
Speaking of that reminds me of like you remember the summer league games where they'd have like teams play and like to be like in like an all-star game and you had the whole neighborhood come out. Shout out to Dennis, by the way, and
yes,
shout out to Dennis. Every here and there, but like he literally raised a lot of like young adults, whether you're male, female, or whatever you're associated as, either or. But like he literally instilled that sense of like confidence in yourself, of like, hey, like you have this almost like a I don't know the word, but like almost like a sense of like you're part of the community because you're part of the pool center, and that fosters still to this day. Like I go past the courts, it's not as busy as it used to be anymore. Like back then, it was really like a vibe. Like people would get excited to be like, "Yo, like it's Tuesday, they got games going. There's like this team's playing this team from whatever," and it was really like a time and a place for that. So,
it was a community where you can make mistakes, and you had somebody to either help you or fix you, right? And so somebody hold you accountable. That's a great word. Accountability. It was that, and so that upbringing was really like I think was fundamental, and a big another piece of that I think is also like we like Naj, I think I would say like my dad is very confident in who he is. We also had like really good males like Uncle Mike, Uncle Harry that were very confident, and like they wouldn't make you feel less than, and so even like I mean I was a bad kid, and there are things I would do. I'll get my whooping, and I'm like
some stuff on cable channel.
Yeah, so it was part of that. It was
38.
Well, I mean, your dad, I got a kick out of him. Talk about somebody who's in joy. Your dad be getting on Facebook, dancing, smiling, doing nothing but vibing out. And I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I tell Nana all the time, your dad is cracking me up.
It's so funny that Naj and my dad are very alike. They don't know it. They don't know it, but they're so alike. And it's so funny sometimes, like, when I go to Ghana, I'm having a conversation with my dad. He's like, "Oh, I see Naj been doing." I'm like, "You do the same thing." Like, he's like, "My dad's a comedian, just like Naj is a comedian." Like, he'll post like ridiculous things and then think like it's funny. Naj does the same thing. And it's, so is that confidence? We had pretty good, like confident people that were aware of themselves and then aware of how like they were bringing us up. That really, I think that built that confidence. Does that when we went outside. Like when I went to college, I wasn't really timid. I wasn't scared of anything. And I think for Naj, when he came, he was a little bit older. So it was like he was trying to find his footing, and it was, that first, But
it was kind of like, I was like more recluse. And then I think as the time went on, I was like, oh, I can be a part of this community at school with like activities and having a job. I remember at one point I was working like 3 jobs because remember I used to do officiating, which was I was pissed because you went to the Drake concert and I missed it because they were like, "Oh, you gotta officiate." Shout out to Devin because that was wrong for that.
Yeah, you have to go to like 10 o'clock. Yeah,
I remember. Good, great guy, but like I was pissed. I was like, "Damn, like nobody's coming to these games. Everybody's at the Drake concert."
Yeah,
Big Joe was out here enjoying himself. You got to meet him behind the scenes, didn't you?
Yeah. So he came to the was it the Songus? The Songus. Yep, the Songus.
Yep.
Someone said I've never met a shy Ghanaian.
Yeah, that's my boy Kai.
Yeah. So Kai, you're absolutely right. Like Ghana, we grew up in a community, and so that's the thing. Like if somebody's shy, it's almost like it's okay to be shy. It's like nobody's gonna judge you, so it's like it's okay. But most people are very confident in how just being part of a community and having that confidence and knowing that I think also knowing that like I hate to say it this way, but there's nothing, you can't go any lower, right? Like it's only up. Like No, it's true. You can't.
Right, I get you. I
You
get
go to Ghana like, okay, lights off. Okay, like what's gonna happen next? Like I'm gonna get light off, or like what's after light off?
Yeah.
So it's that thing of that. And when you come here, it's like, okay, the worst case is they'll shut the light off, and okay, then that's it. What else can happen?
Correct.
So yeah. But Kerry, I'm curious for you. Like, how are you? How what like for you? Where do you find happiness, right? And then as growing up in Worcester, because you and I kind of grew up kind of like, well, a little simultaneous. How did you navigate that? And how did you find the happiness in that way?
Woo! For me, and it's so funny. That's why I tell Nana all the time, I'm so blessed to be immersed in your family, because
Mm-hmm.
happiness had to be strategically cultivated within me. Like there was such this disease and um real like suffering that I grew up in. And so
Yeah.
my lens was, and here's the thing, I work in mental health and I study neurosciences and stuff. So I understand that our subconscious is directly responsible for our experiences. And
Yep.
so as I started studying and learning, I realized that if I wanted to shift the life that I was living from one
Mm-hmm.
that was infused with a lot of suffering to one that was joyful, I had to choose joy consciously. And so I tell people all the time, I had to be so strategic in waking up, having a gratitude practice, like be
Mm-hmm.
setting intentions so that eventually it rewired your brain, right? They've proven that
Mm-hmm.
we rewire our neural pathways through
Yeah.
intentional choices, but it didn't come naturally for me. And in fact, when I was a teenager on the streets, I learned family through the Black and brown communities. So shout out to anybody, all those immigrants out there. You
Yeah.
guys are welcome in my family. But but even then, it wasn't until I made an intentional choice to choose
Mm-hmm.
joy that I started to experience joy. And then it's a ripple effect, right? Because if you're joyful, you experience more joy. And then
Right. The
it's
energy.
just a
Yeah.
compounding thing. Yeah.
No, that so I think it's interesting that for you it's like you had to make that intentional that choice. Whereas I think
Yep.
for us it was almost like there was no choice. You had like we like you just had to be. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but oh, Kai said what we
It's what
think.
you knew.
Yeah, it's what we knew exactly. It's what we knew. It was almost like
Yeah.
it's in you. Yeah, yeah. Kai, we're gonna make that happen soon.
So Kai, I'm gonna put Nana on blast. Homeboy don't want me to go with him to Ghana, so I might be going with his brother and his family, but that's cool.
Damn. Yo,
No,
I'm still mind my own business drinking my water. Like, you know what?
No, but that's the thing is, and I love that. And to Kai's point earlier, a lot of I'll give you the Brazilian culture is another, and I don't want to like generalize, but I will say like they're just communities that exude joy. Like Latin American cultures from Ecuador and all these, like it's a festive like place, and everybody says, oh, some of these countries are third world and they're so impoverished.
They're also the most
And I
happy.
can't help but think to wonder, to your point, Nase, right? Like you experience lack, like not having lights, food spoiling, all of those things. And yet, because of the community and what you were infused with, you never were victimized by it. And I think a lot of people in America know this. I love you all very much, myself included. We experience hardship, and it's really easy for us because we're isolated. There's not that sense of community like there is in other cultures, that we feel really alone and victimized by life circumstances. And that can really be a disadvantage for individuals, because then you start to unfortunately create your reality based on the stories you're making up in your head.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've traveled to a lot of places, and I always take like I have friends in like Russia, and
Привет.
I was I forgot the words. I forgot
Akra,
it, how to
Akra,
say it.
Akra.
Kagdala,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know what it is. Why
But
are you so
like
rusty?
it's Harashwa, and then you say Kagdala.
Katala.
Privyet yeah, you can use Privyet too. But anyway, like I have a friend Irina, and she always bubbly. She came here as an international student, and even when she arrived, like you never see her like sad. There would be some days obviously she was sad, but very bubbly, very and um whenever I would travel overseas, the perception of Americans was very like spot on, right? Like they were very much like, oh, you guys live in siloed communities where like people don't
Mm,
really get to know each other. Yeah, but
mm.
the rest of the world is so like everywhere you go, like if you go to Thailand, everything is community. If you go to Russia, everything is community. Even in China, it's like that, right? And so I think that's the piece of like America. We live almost not in a fear state, but in a close to
Oh, in
being
a
fear
fear
state.
state. Oh, yeah. Well, think about it. A
Yeah,
country that spends most of their resources on defense is obviously a
exactly.
fear-based
Yep.
ideology. But,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
that's the thing is when you think about when and of course I would know this because of my work, but when suicidal ideation, suicide and mental health hit its all-time high, it was in COVID.
COVID.
And the
Yeah.
reality is it really highlighted what was already pretty prevalent in that we live in
Mhm.
a very isolated ideology. And
Yeah.
here's my thing and why I love to talk on inclusivity, and I'm not just talking about paper stamp inclusivity. I'm talking about bringing your ideas and your knowing to the table so we can merge all different backgrounds and infuse strategies and policy with a broader perspective. But the
Yeah.
reality is we're more alike than we are divided. But when you live in this isolated mind of yours, right, our thinking mind,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
then you create this division and it becomes further and further and it creates this bigger and bigger and bigger divide between
Correct.
people
Mhm.
because of this isolation. And that's where it's where one of my favorite quotes ever is Martin Luther King, right? Like darkness isn't going to quell darkness, it's light, it's love, it's coming together. And
Mm.
that's why I think
Mm.
community is paramount if we're looking at
Yeah.
one, experiencing more joy, because Nana can
Yeah.
make a joke and laugh at himself, but if I'm in the room, it's gonna be more entertaining if I'm laughing too. But
You're wrong.
also, it helps us start to break down these illusionary barriers that say, "Oh, you have more pigmentation than me, so you're
Right.
different, and
Yep.
therefore we can't be
Yep.
friends."
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
100%,
Mm.
100% agree. I think that's where a lot of the work that we have to do is just being mindful of the differences and
Mhm.
celebrating the differences rather than being like, oh, you do this and so when like I mean one of the biggest culture shocks when I had Naj, you remember I got suspended because some kid called me African booty scratcher.
Oh, dude, I remember that. That was in Whistar's
With
Magnet.
Stars Magnet, yeah, with Stars
Jones
Magnet.
Jones.
Like,
I
Oh my
remember.
god.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And the
remember
thing
that.
is, like being raised in a country where everybody
Right.
looked like you, there was no like nobody would hurt your feelings, right? Like if somebody was hurting your feelings, it was in a different way, but they would never like poke at your skin or things that you couldn't
Yeah.
change.
Correct.
But then when I came out, I experienced, I was like, what? Like I mean,
Damn.
you
That's
know,
all.
and is that it was always that like it was almost like you're different than me. And so
Yeah.
this is how you need to treat me. And that was always weird to me. So I think that's a piece where like in America we have to do better. We have to do better of like understanding different cultures, learning about different cultures, and in the different ways that we do it. So
Dude.
Well, you know
So,
what?
yeah.
Like, I'm gonna touch upon this because I tell people all the time, we all have implicit bias. We just do because based on our experiences, we have implicit bias, and I really believe it's our responsibility to get curious about those implicit bias. And I tell people a lot, right? There was a time where if I was in a room filled with black men, I'd be terrified, and
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
I would always look at myself because I grew up. my family, thank you so much, mom and dad, always taught me, no matter what a person looks like, their race, creed, color, sexual orientation, everybody's equal. And yet I still had
Yeah.
this fear, right? So I'm like, wow, what's
Preconceived
wrong with me? I'm
notions.
racist.
Yep.
But instead of judging myself, I got curious and I realized in the 1990s, when my brain was very malleable, what was all over TV?
Cops. Yep.
Cops. And what were they
Yep.
doing? They were arresting
Yep.
scary blacks. I was
Yep.
able to examine where that belief came from. I was able to then actually challenge it and then get rid of it completely. But if
Yeah.
we're not willing to be honest about the fact that we have implicit, we're never going to be able to examine that belief to let it go. And that's our responsibility. I fundamentally believe as individuals, it's not to be ashamed that you have them. It's to examine them with compassion and
Right.
demystify why that happened in the first place.
Yeah, there's a comedian. I can't. For some reason, for life, I can't remember his name right now. But he makes fun of that, right? He talks about how like he's a black guy, and he said if I was a black guy in a room full of black guys, I would be scared too, right?
Yeah.
And like
That's
he's talking about how like essentially like being in a we need to bring back. I agree.
Yes.
I agree, Kai.
I agree
Those
too.
Yes. Yes.
block parties, yeah. DC,
Oh my
come to
God.
DC. DC, they have a lot of them here. But he was talking about how like if you know if he was he's a black guy, and if he was in the 60s walking in a all white neighborhood, he's gonna be scared as heck because you know what could happen to him, right?
Yeah.
And so you're right. We all do have the biases. Even when we were growing up, now in our communities, it was always like, oh, our parents, because they didn't know like Hispanics or
Oh my
black
gosh.
Americans, will tell you, oh, be
All
careful when you don't have too many of those friends
All
or
the
you know
time.
that kind of thing. But they were just like us, trying to navigate life, trying to figure out
Correct.
how things were. So it's all like when you don't know somebody, people have that, like you said, implicit bias, and it's gonna cause all the rips.
Well, I mean,
But you know what?
Go ahead, babe. No, okay.
I think, but that's where there's a couple things to what Kai just said. Good food and music say less. I think it's universal.
Every community, yeah.
100%.
We used to go to the Puerto Rican parades. We used to those were like yep.
But then also, like that's the thing is, and this is where humor is a wonderful tool to use when trying to heal, right? It's why I love Dave Chappelle. He gets so much heat, but he's straight blanket everybody, and he uses humor to break down barriers. But we've got to recognize most people won't lean in because they're too afraid to offend. And that's why I tell Nana I can't stand politically correct, because politically correct to me is more divisive than it is creating unity. I would rather make a mistake and Nana say, hey, babe, that sounds ignorant. And that me then feel like I'm walking, because then I never really get to know anybody, and it's all surface, and then no wonder we feel separated.
Yeah. No, you're right. We had to imagine that, like we had to do that to our parents. We had to do that to our aunties. Like I said, our aunties are the ones that like took care of us when we were growing up, and we had to educate them on, just because my friend is a Puerto Rican or my friend is white, or like when I don't know if now you remember John and I when I was going to Sullivan, my best friend was a white guy, John.
Yep.
And we would be like, why like that? It would be that kind of like he's just a regular kid.
He's just a person. I remember. I mean, even one of my best friends, Billy, he's Puerto Rican. I remember the first time I introduced him to mom. She was like, and I was like, he's of different culture, just like everybody else is. He's not a bad kid. He doesn't do it's preconceived notions that some cultures have, like like how you saw cops on TV. In certain cultures, they see only the not so nice things about other cultures, so thus giving that perceived notion of, oh, this person's bad, and they could be the nicest person in the world, but like they just haven't gotten to know them. That was like, I remember this one time when I was in the White Mountains, and we went for a retreat with like members.
ASAO.
It was like ASAO males and stuff like that, but I think this one was males. So like what it was is that there was, males is normally like a culturally oriented.
You
had Hispanic kids, you had people of Asian descent, African American, Caucasian,
Yeah.
different groups. So there was probably like 15 of us there, and there was this one little kid that came up to a group of African American people, including myself, and the kid was like, "Mom, why are their skin colors different?" And I thought it was interesting because this is like 2012,
Yeah.
and I'm like, bro, like, but you know, the kid lives in New Hampshire. He's probably never seen a person of
Yeah.
color. So he asked his mom, and his mom explained, like, "Hey, honey, like, don't say that. You know, it's just their people." And I remember going up to them and just being like, "It's okay. I understand that he probably hasn't seen somebody of the," and I think that helped to like disperse the fear that the parents had, and like, oh my gosh, like there's well, and I'm like, yeah, no, like we're just regular people. You know what I mean?
For me, China. I always say like
Mm.
I've been to China a couple times, and I'll never forget when I was at a train station in China, and once I went to like I think it was Hubei province somewhere.
Mhm.
Not many foreigners go there, and so they've probably never seen a white guy. They've never seen a black guy before, and we were in a group, and we all pull up, and these Chinese are looking at us like, and they're coming up to me like literally looking at like trying to like touch my skin, because they had never seen it before, and it wasn't. I didn't think of it as like racist. I thought it was like, oh, they've never been
You
exposed
just
to
don't know. Yeah.
someone, yeah, like me, and so it was like just that matter of like kind of like using our translator to explain to them like I'm from Africa, I'm from Ghana, and oh, okay, and so it's all those moments where I think America, we just have the layers of the history, the past history, that is attached to it. We also have some people that don't want to let go of their legacy, they don't want to let go of their power that they have in the country. All of that is also tied to it as well. So education is really going to be the piece. The block parties are going to be what's going to help the continuous like re-education of the nation. I think is going to be
Re-education of the nation. Oof.
I sound like Marcus Garvey, huh?
Yeah, that was heat. That was heat.
I really think it's also the ability to have uncomfortable conversations and to get egg on your face.
Yeah.
I tell people my success lies in the ability that for me to thrive and survive, I had to lose ego real quick, meaning I had to be humble and ask for help. And I had to ask what a lot of people would perceive as dumb questions, ignorant questions, but didn't matter because it was going to help me survive, and that helped me thrive. And so what I realized is, yeah, I may appear foolish or I may appear ignorant, but I'm also able to ask Nana, why he does certain things without being ashamed that I don't know. And I think people have like we've got to be okay with having uncomfortable conversations and not taking offense, but rather coming from a place of, oh, this person doesn't know, they're really asking because they want to get deeper. And until we get past that surface level connection, it's gonna feel really divided. But I have so much hope because fortunately for me, I work globally, guys, and I know there are so many people who are united in love, not fear, who are coming together in joy. And knowing that love is an energetic vibration of 550 megahertz and fear is an energetic vibration of 80, love will always win. So I'm just, can't not.
That was great. Yep, that 100%. Love always wins. 100%. Yeah. No, that I think it's something that we like, and it's good that we have self-awareness, right? And that we're able to know that even like for our future. So like now it's the Izzies of the world, like teaching them these things and helping them. And I think also like some, cognitively too, some people don't have that conflict. They never put themselves in that awkward place to be able to learn that, right? Like going to so I think with Worcester, you, me, and Andrew all have that commonality of like in Worcester, we were almost like you had to be in a space with a diverse pool of people.
Correct.
You had to be in a space where you had the white person, the Hispanic, the Black, the Asian, being in the same space, and you had to learn. So just trying to get people into those kind of communities are going to be essential.
Well, you know what? I think you nailed it. I think growing up in Worcester gave all three of us the ability to be chameleons. And what I mean by that is any one of us can walk into a very affluent, perceived white experience and feel confident in engaging
Oh,
with
without a doubt.
individuals from that dynamic. And we can
Without a
also,
doubt.
to your point, me included, we can walk into the valley and know that we're equal to those people and feel
Correct.
just as confident shooting hoops or dropping an
Yeah.
F-bomb like nobody's business, which I do all the time. And not, and that's the thing, is it's not superficial. It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
genuine
yeah.
because we
It's
incorporate
reality.
all of that facet within us. And in that sense, Worcester
Uh,
really is a beautiful
It
melting
is.
pot.
the
Oh my
first
God,
time
Nasa,
I,
we
I
gotta
have to
have you
say,
on again because we didn't even get to talk about more joy stuff. We've
Yeah.
been like, even you.
No, we
no,
were
no, no,
catching up. We were vibing. We were vibing.
yeah, we got to do this again. I have to share this one funny thing though that
Yes.
Do
and
it.
it brought the Wisterness out of me. I remember when Edwin and I, when we moved to Virginia, Edwin was living with me here, and
Yeah.
we bought this house, house that we're in. And when we moved into the neighborhood, the first trash day, somebody had a bike outside, and one of the neighbors had a bike outside, and the wheel was off. And I remember now, you know, we used to love bikes as a
Oh my
kid.
God.
So I'm going to throw a trash away. Edwin's next to me, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, why would somebody throw out their bike? Like, you can fix it." Like, I remember being a kid. So I'm going. Edwin's like, "Dude, what are you doing? This is not Worcester, man. Like, what?"
Wait a minute. You know what has
Right.
me laughing even more? So
What?
Nana and I left the gym the other day and
Oh,
we dead PM looked at each other and we saw this rack thrown
New
out.
rag.
And
Oh, we were so
immediately
excited.
we were so excited. We were like, Nana, we got your shoe.
Yeah,
Because the thing is, Carrie's been looking for a shoe rack for like damn near
yeah.
2-3 months, maybe, and then it just happened to be there. And then the
And
funny
we
thing is, like a
literally
day
looked
later,
and I'm like, oh my God, we got a shoe rack.
Oh man, yeah.
nah,
We're like, yeah, we're her kids. We're her
yeah,
kids.
Oh my God, I love it. But
but
no, seriously,
Oh,
yeah,
this was such a
this is
vibe.
man.
And
this,
as you
this,
saw,
shout out to
I
Yes.
think
Kai.
it's Kai, Fly
It
Guy
is Kai, yeah,
Kai is saying
yep.
Shout
this
out
was
to
a
you,
vibe
Kai.
too. You are
Thank
welcome
you,
back
Bohan. Appreciate you.
anytime.
And Kai, you're welcome.
Nana,
You're
you got
welcome to come eat jollof rice anytime you want. All right.
Nana, you got any parting words? Well, either Nana. Right,
I'm gonna
go
let bro take
cool or
it. This
Nana.
is his moment. I'm just vibing. I'm
No,
enjoying it.
I think this is, I think the party words are like, this is a really great space that you both are cultivating, and you know, continue it. The only way, like we grew up, like I said, my mom and them grew up 12 in one bedroom. We grew up 8 in one bedroom. The only way is up. Like, you're not, there's nothing down
Yo,
from here.
real
So
talk.
only way is up for
Real
you guys.
talk.
Just keep it going. I love this. I'm happy to come on
Thank
anytime.
you. Thank you.
Again. So next time I'll bring Izzy for more fun.
We appreciate
Oh,
you.
yeah, she's welcome. My parting words are one, you know, for anybody out there who may struggle with cultivating joy, as Nase asked me earlier, it is a choice. You really
Mhm.
do, at the end of the day, get to decide how
Yeah.
you want to experience life. And if you want more joy in your life, infuse it by surrounding yourself with people who are
With
more
the joy.
joyful, with
Yep.
laughter,
Yeah.
with music that's uplifting, with food that fills your soul. You know, there are always ways to cultivate more joy in your life. And lastly, my deep and sincere appreciation really to the whole Bonsu, I don't
Argument.
know how to say Michelle's last name,
I'm free.
and
Free.
Ajuman
Free.
family. Well, because you guys bring so much joy to my life, and I am so blessed to call you all family. So until next
Same
time,
here.
y'all.
Same here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peace and